Now ready.
All right. Welcome, everyone. This is the Personnel Administration Committee. Today is November the 8th, 2024 at noon in the HR Council Conference Room. I will note that we have a quorum here. In particular, we have Mr. Jeff McKim, Mr. Peter Iverson, and for our very first meeting, Kate Wiltz is here as well. Welcome to PAC.
Thank you.
Yeah. So therefore, since we have quorum, I call us to order. We have an agenda in front of everyone. Does everyone have an agenda? Agendas are online as well. Does PAC have any changes to the agenda?
Well, should we be removing item 3, or are we still going to consider that? Because it sounds like from the narrative that they want to hold.
If I may, I believe the judge was coming in anticipation to basically state what the narrative says.
If that's her.
That is her.
That's amazing.
Nicely done.
Okay.
That's amazing. All right. So are there any other changes to today's agenda? Hearing none, can we have a voice vote? All those in favor of the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it unanimously.
Sure, appreciate that.
Are we ready to move on to the courts?
Sure.
All right. We have item number 3 as a request to amend job descriptions. However, there is a little paragraph there. What do we need to know?
Basically, we've, because there was some question earlier about FSLA, and also because we haven't had any of our descriptions looked at for, I think, since 2005. We were looking at these. We have some information back about the court reporters, but we're asking at this time not to take any further action on those while we continue to update the process of updating the job descriptions for the rest of the court personnel, court administrators, and bailiffs, which we're anticipating we're going to keep working on and then hopefully get those done soon so that we can then bring it. But we wanted to just ask to be able to do that.
Great. All right, Pat, do you have any questions or comments about this agenda item?
Are these all of the jobs
Yes.
that you have?
Yes.
Here? Okay. Are you going to do any, sorry, is it okay if I just?
Yeah, keep going.
Are you planning on doing any changing to the organizational chart?
No.
Just job descriptions
Yeah.
itself? Cool. Thank you.
Mr. McKim?
Nope, not at all.
All right. In that case, I will entertain a motion.
Move that we postpone the court's item indefinitely pending their request to get back on the agenda.
We have a motion. Is there a second? I'll second it. Hearing a motion. Yep.
Before you vote,
Yeah.
for clarity purposes, I think what the proposal from the court, and the judge correct me if I'm wrong, is that we work on the job descriptions with the court, and then they go to WIS, and then we come back to PAC. Because we don't have another meeting until January, and so if we wait, I don't even think we have a January meeting. I think our next meeting technically is in February.
Oh, yeah.
February.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't clarify that. We
And
want to keep
so
working on them.
If we work on them and then wait for them to come back to PAC, we're losing work.
Okay, I withdraw my motion and make a new motion to allow the courts to go to WIS with the remaining positions that have not yet gone to WIS once the courts and the council office have come to an agreement.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't clarify that.
Hearing a motion, is there a second? And does that motion
Yes,
comport with
thank
what you?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
Good. Michelle, does that motion also that it's okay with your office since you are the PAC administrator?
Yes, that'll give us plenty of time. They've already submitted some changes, but we want to be able to work with them and make sure that we're not, like duplicating or, overlapping anything. So
That makes sense. Okay, great. Is there any other conversation about this? All right, hearing none. Michelle, can I do a voice vote?
yes.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it unanimously.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's move on to item number 4. This is the Health Department, and we are reviewing some WISP recommendations that came back for, it looks like, the Health Services Director. We have with us Lori Kelly. What's going on here?
So this was a newly proposed position, and we made some additional changes and modifications just to remove the language that was pertaining to the Futures Family Planning Clinic. Submitted that back through WIS for review and received that back. So we would like to request approval of this job description.
All right, thank you, Ms. Kelly. PAC members, do you have any questions or comments about this item?
Is this something that we've seen on full council? This is a completely new one, but it was part of the organizational chart that you presented. Okay, and without the Futures Clinic, what clinical supervision does this person have?
So this will be overseeing all of our harm reduction services, our DIS, or our disease interventional specialist, our behavioral health and wellness coordinator, our maternal and child health coordinator position, and all of the positions that fall under supervisors within that.
And if I could add, Aurora Diorio, Board of Health. This position is so critical for us at this time for the expansion that we have planned for the health department, given the new state money, and it will really be a benefit to Lori, who has in the child plate.
Thank you for that. We have more, come on in. You're just right in time. I am going to come back to PAC members for the initial round of questions or comments. Ms. Wiltz, do you have additional questions or comments?
I think so.
Mr. McKim?
And so I am sorry, I did not bring my reading glasses today. Yeah.
Michelle, can you pull up the org chart?
Yeah, I really just want to know where, so, yeah, let's see.
You still need reading glasses for that, like.
It's right there.
Is it this one?
Okay, so this is direct.
So the pink one? Yeah.
So,
Rural and Health, Population Health Outreach Manager, DIS, Program Coordinator. Okay.
and so for those of you watching at home, when the council office has a new position, they put it in magenta or bright pink. And so that is what that position is.
Just for clarity, the ones that are in the outline glowing in purple, if this position gets approved and moves forward, its reporting structure will need to be changed. So those job descriptions forwarded to council will then need to also be amended with the reporting structure.
Because
To show the chain of command.
Correct.
Thank you.
That's being shown on the board.
But that doesn't require
It doesn't require WIS. No, that's a total council approval.
Councilmember Wiltz has a follow-up.
I see that it's at 35 hours, and I think we talked about this in council. Is it still something that you feel is appropriate to have your director level folks, some 40, some 35?
I could see modifying this to 40 hours since it's going to be a new position and recruiting for it. And I certainly think that this position would have the workload to fulfill that capacity.
Yeah.
So
Like it with all of that under. Is this in the council budget yet? Was it in the proposed 2025
No, because
budget?
we didn't know where it was gonna be classified. So this would need to come back for additionals and be added to the budget.
but it would not be Health General. It would be in the,
it is in our state budget, but we just would have to come back up for the council side.
Okay.
Well, I would encourage you to change it to 40 if you're thinking there'd be enough work for 40. I mean,
I will also encourage you to change to 40 because of the change in FLSA. If it's exempt and at 35, it's not going to meet the FLSA minimum.
okay, so then you got, it
So
kind of
we're
gotta.
going
There
40,
you go.
okay.
Good thing we're having this conversation.
does that affect the blue guy in the middle? Environmental Health Services Director, Kathy?
It does, and I have emailed the health department about considering two other positions impacted by FLSA, and I don't know if there's been a conversation with the board about what to do with those positions.
It's on the board agenda. We'll November.
Okay.
And that leads to my question. The classification from WIS came back at a Pat D. And I see other directors at this level are also at a Pat D. Are you comfortable with WIS's recommendation?
I do have some concerns with this position, because of the nursing requirement. So I do think that we might have some trouble recruiting, for a nursing degree with 5 years of experience. Currently, our supervisor of nursing that we're paying right now is making a little over 69,000. So that's about a $10,000 difference, if we're looking at just pay.
Okay. I just real quick, if you're joining us online, if you could mute yourself, that helps us administer these meetings. Thank you. Michelle, can you mute them? Thank you. They muted themselves. There you go. All right. I didn't mean to cut you off,
No.
Ms. Kelly. Did you say everything you needed to say about the classification?
I mean, I think so. I'm hesitant about it. And I think that we'll have some struggle recruiting, particularly with a master's degree and 5 years experience and an RN, just because of how competitive having that degree is. But it's crucial to this position and we have to have a nurse.
Yeah.
We just have to.
Right. Yeah.
So.
All right.
Now's the time to do it.
Well, and I want to make sure that Pat, you've exhausted your questions and comments.
No, can you just zoom out so I can see the whole org chart? Are there four senior staff then? Is that
Yeah.
how that works? Okay, so you've got four. Okay.
May I ask your question whenever it's fine?
Yeah, let me just make sure that PAC has exhausted their questions. You okay?
Yes.
I just want to mention that Dr. Britton has come into the room. Welcome.
Thank you.
Is there anything that you want to add as kind of an opening remark as your board member has done?
Well, I echo what Lori's saying, and this is a technical and administrative position, and it warrants appropriate pay.
Thank you, Dr. Britton. And any further comments?
That was kind of my question. I'm still learning all the processes. Since Lori has expressed, and I would agree with based on what she said, that she feels we're going to have difficulty recruiting, and for the health department, this has been a serious issue for us for at least 2 years of being able to get a sufficient number of applicants who actually could do the job. I don't want us to see it do it again. Is it possible to get the recommendation raised so that the pay is higher than whatever they have it in at Pat D, which I apologize, I don't know what that is, and I don't know if we can go up from there, but I wanted to ask the question.
I'm going to look to PAC members first to reply if you want to, and then I see legal has their hand raised.
Well, the only other option would be an SO, I think, which would special occupation. We'd probably then have to do a salary study to get the appropriate. I mean, I think going to 40 hours first Pat D is the highest level, Pat, essentially professional and technical
Thank you.
classification.
Okay.
And to make a clarifying point, looking at the job description, it doesn't require a master's degree and 5 years experience. It's preferred. A bachelor of nursing is what is required as reflected in the job description.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I'm looking to our distinguished members of the health board. Do you have any other questions or comments that you want to make about this agenda item?
I don't think.
I've said what you said.
Okay. My question is one of timing. It sounds like we have some changes to make. So in terms of a motion that Pat can make today, do you feel like this is something that you would want to move forward sooner, or do you want to take the time to get it right and then move it forward?
What would be the process, I guess, to, if
What are
we don't move
What are
forward?
the changes?
I was thinking more about just the 40 hours a week and making sure that.
That'll be a council decision. That's not a PAC thing. You guys, y'all, or.
Yeah, it depends on everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
And the only thing would be, I would need to work with Kelly, Ms. Kelly here with regards to, if we can find comparable positions, so that we can, do salaries. if they choose to go with an SO, kind of thing. So, but like he said, that would totally be a, PAC decision or
Our
a
council.
council decision. So
Wait, what?
that we can cross that bridge.
No, yeah, I don't even know. Why are we going down that road? I feel like we have a position description. It's been classified appropriately. We ought to pass that and let them move forward and get it in front of council and hopefully start recruiting. And then, if there's an issue with recruiting, we can address it. But I don't think we should hold off on this.
You want to weigh in?
Yeah, I agree with what Councilman Kim just said, and I would add that if you think that this job requires that higher degree, that master's degree, that would probably change the classification to some extent, or, well, I guess if it's at the highest
But that's not what it
path, then it's not gonna.
says.
Well, so it does require an RN, a
Mhm.
Bachelor of Nursing, which
Yeah.
is gonna be, recruitment wise, a higher paying position,
I see,
particularly when we're trying to recruit against the private sector.
right,
In addition, we really want someone with experience and want someone with managerial experience. So not only having clinical experience, just working as a nurse, but then
Mhm.
also having supervision within either a clinic setting or a hospital is really going to be crucial with the amount of other employees that this position is going to be overseeing.
yeah, I think we should proceed though with it as is so that you can test it out and see if you can find someone. I mean, you just never know. The quality of life in this type of job might be a lot nicer than what,
Well, and they can make use of
another nurse.
the KSA if they hire somebody with more than, 0 years of experience, which it sounds like you want to. You can also use the KSA procedure to raise the salary beyond the
That's
entry
true.
level.
It sounds to me like we are ready for a motion. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I move that we forward to the council with a positive recommendation, the health services director position and classification.
Second,
Hearing a motion and a second, is there any further conversation, discussion? Legal? No? Michelle? No? All right.
Just we all agree with 40 out of 40 hours is the right way to go, and we'll get them more money too.
All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it unanimously. Good luck.
Yeah, I'll check with the, council president, see which, agenda we'll be putting this on.
All right, that means we will move on to item number 5 in today's agenda, which is Veterans Affairs. We have with us Steve Miller, and we're going to review another WIS recommendation here. Looks like Veterans Service Officer and Director.
Yes, sir. Yes. Sir.
All right, tell us what's going on.
So we've
so much.
rewritten the job description to broaden the scope from a strategic standpoint to get out more in the community and partner with organizations, government agencies and the like to promote not only our services, but veterans in the community. So the job description is kind of written around enhancing that what we're already doing and just codifying that into the job description.
All right. I'll look to members of PAC to start us off with questions or comments for Mr. Miller.
We've been talking about this for a long time. I don't think there's really
We have.
much question at this point.
yeah, I agree. It looks like it's just finally recognizing the work that you're doing.
Well, thank you.
And
Yes.
that's really important, so.
And compensating folks for the work they're doing. That's
Yeah.
really great.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. I think if there aren't any further questions, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
Okay. All right, I move we forward to the council with a positive recommendation, the new position description and WIS classification for the Veteran Service Officer / Director.
Second,
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further conversation? Seeing none, we'll entertain a voice vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it unanimously.
Well, thank you folks very
Wonderful.
much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
congratulations and Happy early Veterans Day.
Thank you.
We'll see you Monday.
We'll see you Monday.
Yep.
Thank you so much, folks.
All right, that moves us on to item number 6, which on today's agenda item is listed as tentative. And we've got Phyllis Emmerich here from the Public Defender's Office. What's going on?
Obviously, first of all, I wanted to thank Ms. Turner King and Ms. Shell because this is a new kind of language for me. The Chief Public Defender, Michael Hunt, is out of the office, and so that's why I'm here. We started by looking at the executive assistant job because there were some changes in FLSA law. And obviously, our office has grown to a full service organization anymore. And so we added a number of duties to the executive assistant's position. And I think that puts us more in line with what a position in the prosecutor's office as well, currently with Beth Hamlin running that. So obviously, we believe we should be in parity with the prosecutor's office, and this reflects a true list of the duties that our executive assistant does.
Well,
Do you want to go one by one or all together?
let's take a break, see what members of PAC have to say, and then we'll come back and we'll address it.
So were these positions reviewed during the whole WIS reclassification?
Yeah.
Before? Okay, so they've already, because we accepted the court's rewriting of position because they hadn't been reviewed since 2005. But these have just recently been reviewed, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And if I might just state, when we started looking at the executive assistant, Molly and I saw that there were some overlapping duties and there were some additional duties, and that's why there's the additional. So Molly wants to speak toward that.
Please.
So we started looking at the executive assistant, and what triggered it was the change in FLSA. This is a position that isn't going to meet that FLSA minimum. And so we updated the position to reflect the new auditor's process on claims and authentication. And I think all the positions in the PD's office, although they were recently looked at, the positions have adapted to the evolving services that their indigent clients need. So all of these positions are now doing more driver record search, treatment search options, release options, specifically the paralegal and investigator. So when we started with the top, just in the executive assistant, it became apparent that we kind of need to go down make adjustments to most of, I'm going to call it their support staff, because they're not the attorneys, but they're the paralegals who are researching for the attorneys, the investigators who are going to crime scenes to look for the attorney or look at things for the attorneys. So that's kind of what led to the trickle effect.
Okay. I guess, and this is maybe more, this is a philosophical issue, but I'm sort of realizing it more and more the more I look at these reclassifications, is that in a major reclassification where we're considering a lot of positions, I would expect it to be sort of zero sum. You know, some positions will be adjusted down and some up, but it kind of seems to me like everything we're getting is sort of marching everybody up. Yeah. And that concerns me. And that's obviously creates big budgetary problems when we come to council. So I don't know, is your thought that everybody moves up, or is it, or possibly that some positions may be reclassified downward and others upward?
We don't have a lot of movement downward.
Okay, so it is like everybody marches
Well,
up.
and what I mean by that is obviously we only have one executive. That's Heather.
Right.
We only have 3 paralegals. And the paralegal that we're asking to be in the senior position, her role should reflect that she does. First of all, she's taken on the duties of the executive assistants if something would happen to her. I mean, we can't function as an office if we don't have a backup plan. And we didn't really include that previously, that we needed a backup plan. So she needs to be able to do everything the executive assistant does as far as if she's not available. And then she also makes sure that the other paralegals have someone to answer to. What we've done, because we've become such a big office at this point in time, is we've tried to we've tried to create divisions. One of the paralegals is doing mostly treatment, and that's overwhelming us right now. I'm going to tell you that. We're not social workers, we're attorneys, but by this same token, the court's expected, our clients expected, and we need to provide for it. So we're not asking that be downgraded because it's an invaluable position, but that's what one of the paralegals is doing. The other paralegal, not the supervising paralegal that we're asking for, she's working with the attorneys on motions to suppress, appeals, plus doing other things that we ask. And then the supervising paralegal is basically putting it all together and being responsible for all of those things, which she's always done, and it's never been reflected. So probably in the scheme of things, we didn't do what we needed to do in the first place and recognize that we need a supervising paralegal. As far as the supervising investigator, I don't know, you're probably familiar with evidence.com, which is the system used by the prosecutor's office in allowing us access to evidence now. I'm getting ready for a murder trial at the end of January. There's over 500 pieces of evidence. I'm not a technical whiz by any stretch of the imagination. We've done cases now where we need to be able to look at the science of cell phone towers. We are doing so many more things that we have never had the experience. We haven't needed it because our technology wasn't what it should be. But now we're just overwhelmed by these things, and we need somebody as a senior investigator who's going to be qualified to help us with those things. And the truth of it is, all of our investigators haven't been previously. So this is kind of a new thing that we're hoping we can get and keep. And we have that person now, someone to walk us through things that we sure didn't learn in law school. And then as far as the system navigators, I think you're familiar with, that was a grant position previously. And so we're just trying to have a description for those persons, and we put those in the general budget. But really, we're not the senior paralegal and the senior investigator are currently in the office. We're not asking for new positions. We're just asking to recognize that someone needs to be leading those. And I don't know what more to say, since, like I said, this is a bit unfamiliar to me.
I may clarify.
Thank you.
I
Are you-
think the PD's requested, so right now there are 3 paralegals and there are 3 senior investigators. They're asking to create a senior paralegal and a senior investigator.
And there are 3 investigators.
Right.
Yeah, but it will then become 1 senior and 2 paralegals. So they're not asking for additional personnel, they're just transitioning someone into that higher pay. So it might be a case where the paralegals remain consistent and the senior gets bumped up, and the parity for the investigator.
Michelle, can you pull up page 113 of the packet, which is the org chart? And I think that illustrates both what Ms. Emmerich and Ms. Attorney King are trying to, at least for those of us who are visual learners. And so there you see the paralegals, there's 2 of them, and 1 is moving up to a senior paralegal, 2 investigators, and then there's a senior investigator.
Right, and I mean, we essentially did that with the recorder's office.
Yes.
As well.
That's right. We have not heard from our other PAC member. What thoughts do you have?
Page is that on in the packet?
Very last.
113.
Thank you. No, it was in the end section, but that is way in. Okay, sorry, I can't read that far. So you said, I mean, you explained that very well, thank you. And what my question is you said it might result in 3 people, one of whom is paid more, but the others stay the same.
So right now, for example, the paralegals are comment Ds. Obviously, I think with the additional senior responsibilities, the senior paralegal would probably bump up to a pat. But I don't know that the additional duties added to those comment Ds warrants them bumping them up. But I'm also not WIS. But a lot of it was clarifying clarifying duties. There is the addition of some duties, but I don't know how WIS factors that.
And this, is it similar? It looks like with the secretaries, you have the
If,
senior and then two others.
There is a senior secretary, yes.
and the senior legal secretary is a position that already exists, so they're just creating a parity across the board for the investigators and the paralegals.
Okay. And the system navigator position is one that you basically are just describing the positions that are already in your department funded by the grant.
No, the grant currently is in effect until the end of December. And then we put the two new system navigator positions in the general budget.
That's
Originally, I think what happened was when the system, we got the PD's office got the grant fairly quickly. We used a base investigator job description because we didn't really, like, they were trying to figure out what those positions were going to do. And so when we edited the investigator position, it became clear that it was really different than what the system navigators were doing. And so then we worked on creating a job description that reflects their duties appropriately.
You have further questions or comments, Ms. Wilkes? You always do. All right, Mr. McKim.
Sorry, I just have a note. So I'm looking at the org chart here and it's showing the executive assistant as an EXEA.
That's what they are requesting.
But I don't think we request I don't think we request classifications.
No.
so that should be a TBD.
Yeah, right now it's Pat C.
It's a Pat C.
Oh. Well, then it should say Pat C. And
I
then
was
we'll
out of
figure
the
it out.
office when that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Molly took a stab at making a work chart and she never should do that.
Okay,
The
sorry.
hardest part of this was me picking colors. I got a veto.
Yeah.
And so I take credit for that disaster.
Okay.
So
All right, so
it will be updated before
Yes.
it goes to Wales, so.
I'm looking at our calendar and I'm seeing that it is the 8th of November. My question is there's only one of these job descriptions that is impacted by FLSA. Is that correct?
There's only one of these job descriptions impacted by FLSA. And speaking to Kim,
And just for the public, like which one, and we're
the
talking about,
executive assistant,
that's the only one
that is the only one.
that we're concerned
I
about.
think if you were trying to figure out, and I think I know where you're going, which is the end of the year is quickly approaching and we're about to give WIS a big reclassification project. I think if you had to prioritize two, I would prioritize the executive assistant because of the FLSA changes and the senior paralegal because they are doing all of the backup responsibilities in the absence of the executive assistants. And those backup responsibilities are payroll, claims. So it's like the things that have to happen.
And you are correct in kind of assessing my nervousness here is I don't want PAC to get into the habit of doing big reorganizations of departments.
When the ink isn't even dry on
the budget
we just passed.
Like,
yeah.
And to your point, during some of the budget hearings, there were a couple of budgets that were in the red, like we need to be careful here. So I appreciate your insight and
And I
go
would
ahead.
also point out the system navigators are already included in the PD's 2025 budget.
So what is the fiscal? Well, we don't know because we don't know what they'll come back.
We don't know what the classifications are.
I'm catching up.
Michelle, do you want to say anything at this point?
No, Molly covered it. I just think that the two that she pointed out need to absolutely go. The rest of them can, go at a later time, but.
And just for my clarity and for the public, the request here is to send those, or would be to send those to WIS for a classification review. Is that correct?
Yes, but I think maybe sending all of them to WIS gives WIS the bigger picture.
Mhm.
And I don't need
Yeah.
to I don't know that we can tell them to prioritize those two so we can get those two back.
Correct.
But I think they need to see the bigger picture, especially with the reporting structure change of the parent seniors.
And so it would be just PAC that would hold back the others from council. So council isn't getting a huge request for a bunch of reclassifications. In December, right? Okay.
Sometimes WIS has been able to give us like a two-part return, so they might be able to give us the executive and the senior first, and then the other two to be addressed or the others to be addressed by the end of the year. But
And I
although WIS tells me where their southern office, I indeed keep that claim and I can't make them say anything.
And I was gonna say, I don't know what their schedule is actually for the end of the year. So I don't even know if we would get these back in time for a December PAC meeting, so.
And
And
so,
rest assured, if that doesn't happen, I have a backup plan to address the executive
That's what I'm
system.
saying.
I knew you were gonna
that
say
was my question.
that.
And then I want to address that point to you. If we cannot get these back from WIS before the end of the calendar year, does that impact any of the work that you're doing?
That's hard to answer. We believe that we would want these positions to ultimately reflect what they do, but I don't think it's going to change things by the end of the year.
Okay,
Is that fair?
excellent. That is fair. All right. Any further questions or comments from PAC members?
I do.
Please. Yes.
Question, and this is not meant to be only about this situation. It's a broader question, but this is an example. When you have exempt positions backing up other positions, to me, that doesn't seem like, okay, so if you have an exempt position, I guess what I'm saying is the backing up of that probably shouldn't be pulled out and put into another job description as evidence of needing to increase it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could see hourly, someone's gone on Friday, that they have something that has to do on Friday, you gotta get that. But an exempt position, if you're out on Friday, you should have gotten your stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sorry, that's just my culture of work, but, and I'm new to PAC, so if this is completely out of line, I apologize, and I'm specifically not talking about your department, but this brought it up for me. So I'm just curious, is this just how it's done here? And, or is, what other people think about that? Or should I?
Do you want to address Mrs. Wood's question? I have a thought, but
Why don't you give your thought first?
my thought is we haven't had a classification of any of these positions. Like we honestly, like my thought is we don't know how these are going to come back in terms of like their classification. So that would be my thought is let's see what these come back as and we can address that issue. I want to have Mr. McKim weigh in. I see Molly Turner King's hand next.
No, actually, I
All
want.
right, let's hear what Molly says. All right.
So to address Counselor Wiltz's comment, and I'm not looking at the PD positions over, I'm looking at the overall positions. We do put backup duties in a lot of positions. We did it for the health board, we did it for the PD's office, we just did it for the recorder's office. But the way the job descriptions are written is the job duties that position is performing frequently, so on a daily basis, get listed at the top. And then the backup duties, because they're not going to be as frequent, are listed more toward the bottom of the job description. So WIS takes in the frequency of how many, like the frequency of the particular job description when classifying it and determining it it's exempt or not exempt. So like, for example, the senior paralegal, at the top of her job description, it's supervising the other paralegals.
Mhm.
And the backup duties are embedded in there, but they're not her primary function.
Yeah, that's basically, that's what I was going to say, that the frequency of duties are sort of baked into the classification. So WIS is going to take that into account when they come back.
And they answer all that with the forms that they submit, so.
Right, I've seen those, yeah.
I mean, yeah, just backing up another employee on, the Christmas holiday or whatever isn't enough to make them a supervisor and to give them an increased classification. Yeah, every position or most positions do have some degree of backing up of others. And that doesn't automatically mean a reclassification upwards.
Yeah. I also wonder,
Keep going.
and I will stop, I swear, after this. I also wonder about the examples you gave of the types of things that would need to be backed up if someone wasn't there, obviously are critical functions and they're timely functions. Those are functions though that happen across lots of other departments and are connected directly to employee services as a department. I think you said payroll and something else. Okay, so then auditor's office as well. Okay, so would it ever make sense to have backup those kinds of functions backed up across departments rather than within departments. Because you already have those skills and those tasks being done by people in other departments. This is a kind of a theoretical.
So like,
Okay.
Like, in other words, have the prosecutor's office do payroll, to back
That
up.
week, to back it up, to back up.
I mean, just to pick a
Does that even
random.
happen?
Or grants being done within a department, but then there's some auditor's duties that,
my thought would be like employee services, backing up payroll for the departments. I don't know that they have the capacity or staffing capacity or I don't want to say, they obviously understand how payroll works, but payroll,
Right.
each department has its own little payroll process internally. Like, for example, your timesheet on one department's due on a Tuesday and you better have it in by noon, but on another, it might be Friday. So I think it would be difficult, but I don't really know the answer.
That's fair. I don't know that these departments play well together with each other. I don't think that will work.
Well, and I want to say that with
And
the
then there's that.
AOD that we have, with the electronic time clock that we have now, only specific people can sign off on timesheets and or process payroll. So if you're not within that scope of that, prosecutor's office couldn't do, payroll because they don't have access to their timesheets and their,
That's why I think it would be like centralized with employee services, but I still know they have the person, because like,
Having one department do it for everybody would be.
Right.
crazy.
yeah, because I mean, it's not just punching a payroll ledger button. Like if Molly forgets to clock in all of this week, then when I go to submit my timesheet, someone has to fix it. And it just thinking about county legal, there's only 6 of us. I can't imagine. First off, Dave would be really angry if I did that. And second, that's just 6 of us. I can't imagine one person trying to fix a department the size of, there's 16 attorneys plus
27 total
Support
people,
staff?
yeah, well, not an additional 27, but 27 people, 26 in
Yeah.
them, as far as everyone.
all right, I'm gonna pull us back
Thank you.
to the 6 job descriptions that we have in front of us. I do feel like it is time for a motion. However, if there are more questions or theoretical observations,
I know, well, both of us have taken our turn at a philosophical.
I mean, what is work? All right.
Have you ever looked at your hand?
I know.
Really looked at
All right,
your
all right, let's get back on track. Is there a motion? I'm gonna,
All right, I move that we forward the public defender's position descriptions to WIS for classification, prioritizing the executive assistant and senior paralegal.
Second.
hearing a motion and a second, is there any further conversation? I have just one quick clarification. Again, we are not, we are doing this because of an FLSA issue. That is why we are in November doing this. So this is not something that we're going to be doing regularly. This is to tackle an FLSA issue. All right, we will do a voice vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it unanimously. We'll work with Michelle and get that back to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, so we are moving on to item number 7, approval of summary minutes for October the 1st. Are there any changes? Hearing none, I think we can approve those by acclamation. All right, there were no, so those are adopted. Before we adjourn, is there any last item that you all want to talk about? Anything you want to say on camera?
Thanks for putting up with me.
I'm glad you're here.
Welcome to PAC.
Yes.
All right, hearing no other council comments, we are adjourned. Thanks for joining us.
All right, thank you.